Welcome everyone to today's meeting for International Women's Day. Our theme today is Choose to Challenge, and we have two wonderful speakers with us this evening. We will be doing a panel style discussion with them. To begin the proceedings, can I invite immediate past President Soraya to say the grace, please?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bose Agbesanwa, and I'm the current president. And I want to thank everybody and appreciate everybody that's joined us this evening, especially our two speakers, Melissia and Anna. Thank you for joining us. And AG Ken, thank you for always joining us every time we have events. And I also want to take this time to welcome Oma, and I invited Abby because it's International Women's Day. So thank you very much, and I hope we all enjoy this evening. Over to you, Imanju.
Good evening, our Rotary Grace, with our friends beside us and no persons beneath us, with the bonds of Rotary between us and our worries behind us, with our goals before us and no task beyond us, with a thirst for knowledge and a dream of peaceful world. We are thankful according to our individual beliefs for our Rotary friends and fellowship we are about to share. Amen.
I will now invite President-elect Susan to read the object of Rotary.
The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular to encourage and foster, first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. Fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service.
Thank you, Susan, for that. And now to welcome our speakers. Today we have Melissia Dembrosky, who is a director at JP Morgan, and Hannah Kupoluyi, who runs the All Women's Network. Welcome, both of you. I will pass it on to our president to begin the panel, and I'm sure while we are doing the panel, you will be introducing yourselves.
Okay. I'll say good evening once again to our speakers, and also thank you for honoring our invitation. One of the things I'll say as well is International Women's Day. Why is it necessary to celebrate this? I think it's so important to celebrate because of the role of women in the society and the way we're being pushed back at times. You know, this is just to appreciate all that women are doing socially, economically, politically, and culturally. So that's one of the reasons why it's been said, you know, that they really observe this. And I'll just read a short clip of how it started. The theme was what Imanju showed us at the beginning, that choose to challenge. And before we end this evening, I'm going to ask all of us, what are we going to choose to challenge? So that's going to be our take home this evening. But it started years ago, and I think it was in 1908. And I think there were about 100 women from different countries that put it together. And if you look on the flyer that Imanju did as well, there is a bit about it. So not to waste time, we can look at that flyer and read it, but it's so important for us to know how it all started. And there's something quite interesting about it as well. which is about the colors, because the purple signifies justice and dignity. And that is one of the things that women are trying to stand for. And then the green symbolizes hope, that you know what, this is where we are today, but there's hope for a better future. And then the white signifies purity, especially when you look at the young girls or women, the way they are being treated, raped and everything. What can they do? They're helpless. So, and one thing I want us to start thinking about as we start talking this evening and asking questions, and we're all discussing, is what do you choose to challenge? What do you want to stand for this evening? How can we make a difference, especially men that is among us this evening? How can you make a difference? So that's my little introduction about this evening. So I'm going to ask Melissia to introduce herself first, then Anna will introduce herself, and then I'll ask the first question, and you take it one by one. So Melissia, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, could you please
introduce? Good.
Yes,
nice to meet you.
Say a little bit about yourself, please. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. So I work for JP Morgan in technology. It is a very male-dominated environment, as you can imagine, both in financial services and also in technology. I spent most of my career in technology by choice. I fell into it. I realized I was okay at it and stuck with it. But I recognized when I came in that it would be a challenge being a woman, and especially a woman from my background, which is from the deep south of America, with no formal education outside of high school, getting into a really intellectual world. So a lot of challenges to talk about later.
Oh, wow. So you are going to be sharing with us this evening a bit of your challenges and how have you, actually walked your way up to where you are, so that at least other people can learn. Thank you very much. Anna, good evening. And can you please introduce yourself as well? Thank you very much. Oh, we can't hear. Anna, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes. Hi,
Okay.
good evening, everybody. I'm really honored and I'm very grateful to be invited here to be one of the speakers. I would like to say thank you to the wonderful Rotary group for their continuous support with my network. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I do not take it very lightly, so I'm really, really honored. So I want to say thank you to all the wonderful, amazing team that's put this event together, and also to my candidate partner that we're going to be discussing about how we can challenge, how we can choose to challenge. So my name is Hannah Kupoluyi, and I'm the founder of a women's network. This is a powerful women's network, very diverse, where we celebrate women's achievements and where we also support women to turn their ideas into businesses. And so we've been running this for over 4.5 years, embarking in Dagenham, and we've received so many recognition and awards for the work that we do in putting personal training together for women to help them to develop their confidence, and also helping them on their journey to starting their own businesses as well. And I'm the founder, and I'm also a business connector and a networker. I love being around people. I love connecting women together and to support them to be able to work together. And so that's what I do. And I'm really honored to be here today, and I look forward to the wonderful conversations. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Anna and Melissa. So my first question, and I will start with Anna, is the theme for this year is choose to challenge. What does this phrase mean to you when it comes to your networking organization,
Thank you so much. So choose to challenge. It's such an amazing theme for 2021 International Women's Day. This really means to me to be visible and to be vocal. It means to use your power, to use your voice. One of the most powerful tool that we have given to us is our voice. And I feel like sometimes many women struggle to use that voice. And I'm an advocate for women, and I speak on behalf of women to empower them to use their voice wherever they find themselves, whether they are within political party, or whether they are at a workplace, or whether in a business, or whether in a committee, or whatever community organization that they are in. You have to be able to assert yourself, be assertive, be confident, and, you know, use the power within you, because we all have all the greatness we need in our life. You know, everything that we need is in the palm of our hands, but sometimes it's a struggle to be able to use it. So this choose to challenge is actually a challenge for each and every one of us here tonight, to use our voice to be able to challenge injustice, to be able to challenge unfairness, to be able to challenge gender bias, to be able to also use it for greater good, to support other women, to elevate, to motivate, to empower, to encourage other women, because sometimes we often find that women, they support each other. However, there is that minority that actually do not support one another. And I know that that's one of the questions that will be asked later. And so I'll be able to, you know, share that a little bit later.
Okay.
So it's all about choosing to be visible and choosing to be able to uplift each other, and also just call out any form of bias when you see it, whether it's happening to you, whether it's happening to somebody else within your network, being able to offer them support and help them to actually challenge it so that it is resolved. And it's important that we resolve conflict by challenging anything that is unfair. And that's the way we can move forward in our community as well as our society. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Anna. Fantastic. Over to Melissia now. It's going to be a bit different. And it's going to be, what does this phrase mean to you when it comes to your career? Because you are in a male-dominated environment. So what does that mean to you?
And that's absolutely a fair question, because you know, when you see something that is wrong, and there's two ways to challenge it, right? You can just say in the room, you know what, I don't agree with you guys, and stand up, throw the toys out the pram and walk out. Or you can think about how you can try to connect with them on their level. And someone said to me years ago, I don't want one man in a room which understands me, I want two, because I want one to be able to convince the other. Because often people will only listen to people that they feel are like them or have similar thoughts to them. And for me, it's important that we do challenge, but I think that we need to challenge in a way where we can get a peaceful resolution, and we can get a resolution. And the people in the room may not agree with, often don't agree with what you're saying, often don't agree. So I think the challenge is important. When you see something, absolutely say something. But if you want to resolve it, sometimes it's not the people that are in front of you that are going to help you resolve it. It's people that can help convince those people. And sometimes you need another voice to bring into it. So, I mean, for me, it's about bringing the conversation to the table, and having an open conversation about it. From a career perspective, you do have to choose when is the right time to make those challenges. It's a question of, do you walk up to the trader and say something, or do you walk up quietly to the head of the desk and say something? And it will impact. It's not right, but it definitely will impact your career if you challenge things in the wrong way, where people feel it's confrontational or feel that you're the difficult one. Especially in a large corporation. I work for a lot of large corporations. So for me, absolutely challenge, absolutely bring the conversation to the table, but do it in a way that supports getting resolution for that. And whatever environment you work in, every corporate environment is different, every business is different.
Oh, thank you very much, Melissia. And I do like what you and Anna have actually said is about using your voice, but using your voice correctly, because you can use your voice in a way that it will turn around to be that she's so aggressive, or she wants some. So I think it's really, really good that the key thing for me is using your voice correctly in the right way, so that you resolve the conflict or you get a result from what you're doing. Okay. And that will lead me to the second question for you, Melissia, please. What gender-specific barriers or challenges or stereotypes have you had to overcome in your career journey?
Lots is the answer to that. So I'll give you a very specific example. For a part of my career, one of the things I did was I was a specialist in a particular software. So they would fly me out to a client and I would sit with them and discuss with them the software and the options for it. Consistently, when I arrived on site, doesn't matter what country or where I was, I would sit in a room with a whole bunch of men, and they would instantly challenge me to figure out whether or not I was a technical person or whether or not I was just out there to take orders. And it happened very, very consistently where when I would walk in the room, the first conversation was, well, since you're here, and they'd start asking technical questions rather than tell me about your background, tell me about the technology, tell me about your experiences. It was always a challenge first. Do you deserve to be in the room? It took me a while to kind of learn how to deal with that. And again, that's one of the challenges of being in technology specifically is you're assumed to have less knowledge when you walk in a room, or in the past you were. That is changing.
Okay, so before I move on, how have you actually dealt with this? Maybe just one bit of advice that you can give to us, that how have you actually dealt with that?
Knowing your stuff obviously is really important. so walking in the room, knowing the information, and when they ask the questions, go, well, of course it's ABC. And being confident in your delivery is important. Because I was dealing with external clients, which means I'm going into different companies all the time. I can't change their corporate culture, right? But I can change the way that I behave and react to it. And in the beginning, I used to get offended. And then after a while, I realized, actually, this isn't a bad thing. I walk in, I know my knowledge, we move on. And I expected it to happen. I prepared for it. I walked in confident, and I also had my information available. But it took me a little while to kind of gain that confidence and knowledge. And I did extra research to make sure that I was very confident in the topic.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask you the same question, Anna, but I know that you have your own career path as well, not in the office, but in your business. So could you tell us some gender-specific barriers, challenges, or stereotypes that you've had to overcome, like setting up your networking business?
I think for me, it's more of not just getting the support that you need, especially from people who have already kind of done exactly what I've done before. And it's almost like they feel like you're a threat. They feel intimidated because they don't really want to share no knowledge and to help you and to support you. So those are the things that I've actually faced, not getting the right support, but because I'm quite somebody who's very confident within myself, and also someone who's very proactive in, finding out information and looking for other ways that I can actually, help myself. And so I was able to push forward, but not everybody's that competent or that strong to be able to carry on. Sometimes some people will lose hope along the way because they're not really getting the support that they need. And I feel like sometimes these are the things that we as women, we also challenge. They're challenged within ourselves. Yes, there is that gender inequality and bias, but sometimes we ourselves can also be an hindrance to each other, because we find each other intimidating. Sometimes you have a great skill and somebody, rather than someone saying that I really admire your skills and your talent, they could, kind of feel a certain way about it, maybe have some kind of jealousy or enviness, rather than just it being a competition. It should just be, what, I love what you do. What support do you need? Rather than making it very difficult. So those were my challenges when it came to me setting up my women's network, not really having the right people to support me and to guide me through through the right way so that I could actually navigate it better.
And just to respond to that very quickly, I've seen that as well, where women, and I know it's a later question, where women constantly get in each other's way, essentially. Yeah. And in my industry, the challenge is there's only one spot. And what I said to them is, well, let's make two. Let's work together to fight them to get two spots.
Absolutely, yes, I love that.
But I do think that's where a little bit of it comes from, is because there's always this perception that there's just a couple of spots available for whatever industry or whatever, work, and there's not enough room for two people. Of course there is. We have to make that room because other people aren't going to make it for us.
Absolutely. And I think it's all about the mindset. Sometimes we, like you've just said, Melissa, we have to change our thinking and our mindset and the way we think, that it's not just one opportunity that is there. There are multiple opportunities, and you can actually create opportunities, for yourself, rather than, waiting for others to do it for you. So I decided to create an opportunity for me and build my own table with my own solid wood and press forward. And that's how I've been able to achieve many awards today, because I decided not to be the woman that would just be stagnant, but to make a move and to make a difference.
Well done. I will say thank you to Melissia and Anna, especially for how you have actually answered the question and how I moved on as well. And one of the things I would take out of this is that we need to have confidence within ourselves as women. And also, Melissia, I like one thing that you said, that you must be authority in what you're doing. I liked when you said research. And I think that is a problem some of us have as women. We're already in that workplace, we're being intimidated. We're not going out to get the best out of what we're doing, to learn more. And then we're stuck there. And I like the way you said it as well, that you get into a room, bunch of men, and they start technical questions, not even asking about, and you are able to just sort of walk through them by answering their questions. So I think this evening is encouraging us as women that we need to really, really work hard and be at our best every time. Thank you so much. And Anna, I like your confidence that it doesn't matter what people are saying. Went out there, get your own wood, and you decided to have your own networking organization. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to get Imanchu to ask you question 3. So Imanchu, can you ask them question 3? And you'll see why Imanchu has to ask the question.
Okay, well, thank you, Madam President, for letting me ask this question. So ladies, the question is, what can men do to achieve equality? And maybe, first? Yeah, Hannah goes first and then Melissia.
Okay, so thank you so much for that question. I feel like men needs to be included when it comes to equality. It's important that they have a role in terms of promoting it. Men can promote gender equality in their daily life, by supporting their partners, starting within the comfort of their home, supporting their wives, supporting the female figures in their lives, their mothers, their sister, their daughters. So it's so important, but I'm going to start my focus on the home front, because I myself, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I have children. And so for me, it's important for the male figure in my household, my partner, to support me in terms of the house chores, the domestic chores, and also childcare, which is so vital. And this is where I feel like women struggle when it comes to childcare, because women are very, very much, into ensuring that the children are safe, their welfare is paramount, and that everything is met. And so I feel that it starts from the home, really, helping out each other and ensuring that you are very supportive. And also, men can also be a vital instrument in terms of domestic violence, preventing signs of domestic violence. So if you are a male figure who has a very aggressive temperament, and you've had this because of your family historical problems, there are ways that you can sit down with your partner and talk about it and get help. And that way you're able to start getting healing and also preventing those signs, in order for it not to become something that would be a problem in your household. And this will actually cause a family breakdown. Also, men can also support their partners in terms of helping them to have a voice. So today you can see so many men on this platform, and I'm really, really happy about that. And it shows that men are actually standing with women today. And the first communication I received was from a man to come to this event. And that was from you. So I'm really grateful about that. So just doing things like that really shows like you are an advocate for women, for achieving, equality, and also helping women to be able to feel empowered within their home, so that when they step out into the workplace, they have very much, great confidence, because they've been empowered from the inside by the men in their lives. And also, lastly, it's about helping women to actually support them in terms of being visible leaders, having the voice to be able to apply for a higher post in your workplace, giving them the boost and the encouragement that they need, that they can actually be the next chief executive, or they can actually apply if they wanted to be a role model in the community and be a mayor. So giving women the empowerment that they need from home, so that they can actually be the great leaders that they can be, and people can see that. And also that will help them to increase their influence and become great women of our society. Thank you.
Hannah, I agree absolutely with you. And I'll add a little bit to that. So I'm a director at JP Morgan, which is the largest bank in the world, and I do a very complicated, what I think interesting job. There is no scenario where I would have this job without my husband, without his help, without his support with the kids, without him behind me, pushing me when I go, oh, I don't think I can do it. It's made a big dramatic difference in my life. And he does, he stays home full time with the children. So he is like really supporter.
Yeah.
And my daughter said when she was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we have 2 adopted children with special needs. So it's a lot of work and it's very hard. And at 2 a.m. they still want their mom. So, and he'll deal with it. But where I'm going with this is my daughter said to me, Mom, when I go up, I've decided I want to get married and have a non-traditional household. And I said, okay, what does that mean to you? And she said, well, I want to go to work. She goes, I want to stay home with the kids. I don't want to have to go to work like you do and, have my husband stay home. I'd rather be the other way around, where he goes to work and I stay home. But that's normal for us. And it's, we've made it so normal for a different person to stay home, but that's the home life. And I agree, you have to have a very stable home life. But what I will say on the professional side to Himanshu and to all of the other men is, for me, a supporter of diversity and a supporter of women is someone who still is willing to have that conversation when I'm not in the room. And a lot of people will be willing to say, yep, I support women, I support their careers, I support this, I support that. But you don't see it in the actions they take, and you don't see it in the discussions they have when there are no women in that room. To me, those are men who are really supportive and actually very involved in, the creation of the spaces that we need, and the understanding that we need in order to move forward in our careers.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And one of the reasons why I decided to start from the home is because I also have a partner who supports me. I couldn't do half of what I do without his support. It's not possible. Even before I joined the Zoom, I said, oh, babe, I'm about to start. He said, go for it, go and nail it. I believe in you. So just those little things really makes me feel really comfortable and very happy that, you know what, I am going to nail it. I am going to be amazing. So those little things really help. So we do need men in our lives, to be quite honest with you, because their opinions, their ideas, the way they think is so different. And sometimes they just need us in their life as well, so that we can all work together in partnership and make this family thing work together.
I would just also add to that is many of us, we spent our childhoods, because a lot of us are around the same age, I think, spent our childhoods with the message that a woman's place is here and a man's place is there. And that is always in the back of my head, and it's probably in the back of yours too, for everybody on the call. And you have to have other people in your life, either, and not necessarily men, but you have to have other people in your life that help you continuously challenge that. And say, actually, you are good enough. Actually, you can do this. Actually, stand up. You don't need to sit down. Make your voice be heard. So you need that support through not just men, but through people in your life to remind you that that little voice in your head isn't accurate.
Yeah, I concur.
Himanshu, do you?
Yes, Bose.
Before we move on, ladies, can I just ask a question? Really to do with males supporting women. There might be some of us on this meeting this evening that are single women, so what advice can you give us? Like, okay, we're not married or we're married, marriage is not working out and you're just on your own. But what advice can you give us from your own point of view, please?
When I said men, what I mean is support structure, right? So it's friends, it's family, it's relatives, it's, you know, it's people in your personal support network, not your professional support network, people in your personal support network that can help you and remind you how good you are, because everybody is good. And, you know, as Hannah said, every one of us has the tools that we need to be successful. We just don't necessarily apply them. Instead, we sit on the couch and have, you know, ice cream. You know, which is good on some days, but you need someone in your life that challenges you and pushes you and reminds you that you are stronger, you are better than you may think you are at that point. So it's your personal support system.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So Anna, do you have any advice for us?
Yes, definitely. I totally agree with what Melissia said. It's about building your support network. Everybody needs it. Whether you are a married couple, whether you are a single couple, you need a great selective of people in your support network. And I always encourage the mothers and also the dads from my children's school about creating a wonderful community of parents where we can actually bounce ideas of each other, where we can support each other. Maybe sometimes I might be running late, you know, I'm able to actually call one of the moms and say, could you help me pick up my son? And it's just the same thing as well, you know, whether you're married, whether you are single, just make sure that you have a good supportive network to help you, because I always believe that everything starts with a relationship, building strong relationship. What we're doing now, if I didn't have a great authentic relationship with the amazing Mansu, then how will I be here? So we are always building relationship, always networking, always connecting, and it all starts and it all begins with there. So it's about building your own supportive network to help you and to also be your cheerleader, to believe in you and encourage you and say, you know what, you can do this. Today, my husband cheered me on and said, I believe in you. Go nail it, girl. Yeah.
And I would add to that, Hannah, your support network should change over time. The needs that you have at certain points in your life are completely different than it's like when I adopted my children, my support network was largely other adopted mothers, you know, but they're not in my life anymore. Many of them are not in my life anymore. You know, when I was first starting work, my support network were, you know, my group of friends at that time. But your support network changes as your needs change over time and as your career ambitions or your personal professional ambitions change. And it should. Absolutely. It shouldn't necessarily be the same. It could. Some people, like my sister, some people are always there. You know, but it should change, and you should think about the relationships you have and whether or not those relationships are contributing to your positive outlook on life or not. And Absolutely. If not, think about it. Are these the right ones for me at this stage in my life?
Because we're always evolving, isn't it? And we are also moving forward and we are starting new things in our life. And so we meet different people along the way who are best for us. So definitely, we do need to definitely look at a network and see who is serving us the right way or who is actually draining us, because there are some drainers in that network as well. But that's another story.
I know. Tell me about it.
I agree. I'm a big believer of the phrase, let's raise all our boats together. But if somebody's got a hole in their boat, I want to think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. We might not be able to go through all the questions because we still need about 15 minutes for people to ask you questions as well. But one main question that I would like to ask is, what advice would you give to women or girls in this pandemic? You know, like it's been COVID-19, stressful, and you know the way it is, women, especially when you look at all the developing countries everywhere, girls, you know, the situation that they are. Because sometimes I read some of these stories and I feel so sad when you look at, oh, some women don't have money, they have to be doing prostitution and things like that. So what advice can you really give? Because we're recording anyway, so it will go on our website and other people can. So I'm going to, so we can do it in this way. Melissia, you can give advice to them in terms of, you know, like professional career and things like that. You can add other things onto it. And Anna, you can advise generally, you know, like women, because I'm so impressed the way you said you had to bite the bullet and go out to set your own business. So maybe there's a way that you can encourage people on this this evening that they can go out as well and do what they, you know, like we've all got talents.
Yeah.
So we can go out there and build something. So who wants to go first? This is a time for you to choose.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
I'll
Sorry.
go first. Advice for women in this pandemic. I think number one, it's really about making use of your time, because one of the greatest power we've been given during this season is the gift of time. We've never had so much time like the pandemic. And it's all about how have you prioritized your time. So I would say that all the things that you've always wanted to do when you didn't have time, those are the things that you probably should have prioritized to be able to actually start doing them and planning ahead to do them. So number one, I would advise that, you know, you should write a book about your life, or write a book about your experiences during the lockdown. You know, how did you manage? How did you cope? What did you do that other people can actually learn from? And then also, we all have the opportunity to actually just start a business, because there's so many support out there in terms of online training, and also reaching out to your local business hub that can actually help you and support you, or community organization. So have you been putting off the businesses that you wanted to start before the lockdown? During the lockdown would have been a better time to actually start it, because you have more time to be able to, you know, put your business together, your business plan, and, you know, sort out all the structure of your business. And then number three, it's about building a community. So have you always wanted to actually have your own community organization? That would have been another opportunity for you to have started it then. And also in terms of domestic stuff, sort of reorganizing your house, you know, decluttering. Some of us have always wanted to kind of reorganize and paint our house, or maybe decorate one of our children's room, because those things are very good, because it helps us with our mental health and our well-being. So, you know, that would have been another great things that could have been done during the pandemic as well. And also learning new skills as well. There's so many courses, and the government was actually encouraging so many people to actually go online and join the virtual online courses that were free and available. So there were so many courses online, and I hope that many people took advantage of it, because that would have actually empowered you to gain some skills. All the courses or the skills that you've been putting off for so long when you didn't have the time, lockdown would have been an amazing time to have achieved and done them all. And also maybe you have a skills that, you know, it's a practical skill that you can actually teach someone. You can actually just join Zoom, put together an information flyer and invite people to come and just monetize it and just charge for it, so that people can actually come and learn from you. So you can actually teach or train online. And that way you can actually become someone that trains people online, and then you can actually do a course. You know, you can do train the trainer, or simple teaching course, level 3, teacher training course as well, or maybe even volunteer your time, create a project. So there's so many things that could have been done during this pandemic. I helped about 8 women to start their business last year, and it was all done online. And we started straight after the lockdown, and we were able to kind of turn the program around and do it online. So there are so many, many possibilities. But one thing I want to say is that everything starts with you. Everything starts with you. You have to believe in yourself, because many of us, we don't believe in ourselves. And that's why sometimes we have self-doubts, and sometimes we feel overwhelmed, because we don't really have that belief in ourselves. So number one is to believe in yourself and to take action. Once you believe in yourself, you take action. And if you don't know where you're going, there are coaches, there are mentors who are out there to help and to support you. You don't have to do nothing on your own. And that is why I said the power of building connections and relationship is very, very important. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Anna. Then we'll have Melissia now, please.
Of course. So lockdown for a lot of people, including me, has been really hard, right? You're trying to balance a lot of different things in your life. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's the media. There's, you know, a lot of stuff, family circumstances. you know, when you're caring for your mother or a friend or a cousin or your children, it is really, really difficult. And the thing that I would encourage everyone to do is to take a few moments for yourself to think, right? And think, and you know, as Hannah said, there's lots and lots of opportunities and many things you can do and many things you can learn and all of this wealth of opportunities available to you. But I do feel it's important for people to think and reconnect with themselves and remember or consider, what do you want to do? What's important to you? How do you want to focus your time? Take some time to pause and think about, okay, do I want to learn this new skill? Because I want a career in this direction. Great. Once you think about that and you decide it, go. There's a wealth of information available and learn it properly. If you decide that you want to spend more time with your family, then think, how can I prioritize that? How is that important to me? Do I need to put a lunch break in my schedule every day so I'm not on Zoom calls all day long? Do I want to start a business? Okay, yes, Hannah said there's lots of opportunities out there, but what kind of business and why do I want to start a business and what do I want to get out of that business? And mentors can help you with that. But I would ask everyone to first just take some time to think about where you want to spend your very precious time, and consider, okay, in 6 months or a year, when we come out of this, where do I want to go? What direction do I want to head in? What things do I want to look back and say that I've learned or that I've achieved or that I've started? And that may be spending more time doing jigsaws with your daughter. It may be starting your own business. It may be getting a certification in something, right? Or going back to school. Now that all of these online things are available, but I would again, first, I think everybody should take some time to think about what is important to them and how they want to spend their time and what they want their life to look like in 6 months to a year, because this is a fantastic opportunity for everyone to stop and look at their lives and go, actually, what do I really want? What do I want? What's important and valuable to me? And think about that, and then take some action based on that, obviously, after you've had some time to consider it.
Okay. Thank you so much, ladies, for this wonderful session. And I'm going to hand over to Imanju now to deal with questions.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, Susan, please go ahead.
Okay, so this is a question for both of you. So I work in a maternity unit, and it's about 4 or 5 years ago, I talked to a lady there, and she came in and she's 48 years of age, having her first child. And I asked her what she did, and she said, oh, she was an international buyer for a big company. And I said to her, are you going to take a full 9 months off maternity leave? She said, oh, no, she said, I don't think I can. She said, because I'm in such a cutthroat business. She said, I've left it too late to have a child, really. She said, I put my career first. And she felt very much under pressure. So how do you feel that, you know, when we look at our parents and having the children, and now, I mean, when did you have your children? Did it slot in well with your career? How? And she felt very intimidated, and she said, no, I'm just going to take a couple of months off, put my child in childcare and go back to work.
Yeah, I think this is one of the challenges we face as women. Actually, childcare is definitely one of the big challenges we face, because I myself, I have 3 children. And I remember when I started to have children, and before I had children, I was working. And so when I started to have children, and when I spoke to my boss, things started to change. Just like, you know, this is a story for so many women. It meant that I had to work flexible hours when I got back after my maternity leave. It meant that my hours would change. It meant that I had to look at other flexible opportunities that is available for me to be able to kind of share my hours with somebody. So things change around when I had children, unlike when I was working, you know, good full-time or sometimes, you know, part-time. So it's definitely tough. And it's something that the government needs to look at in terms of providing more opportunities for mothers. But there are some workplaces that actually support mums who are coming back from maternity leave by offering them flexible hours. And you have some amazing managers who understand your situation, especially if you have a female manager, and she's already had children. So she understands how that works. But sometimes when you have a male, you know, I'm not trying to kind of paint male managers in a bad light, but sometimes they don't really understand the way women are in terms of once they've had their children, and how difficult it is to sort out childcare and to get extra support. And also, you know, going through that 9 months definitely changes you, your system, everything changes on the outside and on the inside. And your focus is actually that child. And so, you know, it's important that, you know, people at work, your managers understand that and they're able to help you through it. So that's my take on that, really.
So my children are adopted. And when I met them, they were 6 and 3. In America, there is no law saying that you have to have any time off for adoption at all. So the company offers 0. So I took 3 months off unpaid to adopt my children, and I was 37 at the time. And so they've been in my life 12 years now. They just told you my age. So 50. And I'm happy to be 50 in lockdown. So it was really, really hard. It was very, very difficult to have spent 3 months with my children, who I literally just met, who could speak and run and play, you know, at age 6 and 3, and go back to work and work 12-hour days. It was very difficult. And I found it really, really emotional. And I went to my boss and said, can I have some time off? No. Can you work less hours? No. Can you work from home? No. And you have to make choices, right? You have to decide, okay, is this job worth it? Is it acceptable to me? You know, and I speak a lot to women who always talk about the work-life balance and how do I get it right. And I'm a big believer that there's no such thing as work-life balance. It's a question of focus. Where are you focusing your time now? When I'm at home and I do not work. When I'm, except for obviously the work from home thing, but when I'm work time, I do work. Non-work time, I do home. And I've decided to segregate those things. And some days it's more one and some days it's the other, you know, but that's how I maintain that balance. But for me, I did wait quite a long time. I chose to adopt. And I had to make some serious sacrifices financially and socially in order to do what I wanted to do. So I quit my job and I went into a less stressful job, which paid less for a couple of years to be able to spend time with my children. But that was my choice. And, you know, again, each of us have to kind of look and say, back to what I said earlier, what's important to you? And to me, it was important to be able to spend time with my children, you know, and see them and have dinner with them, as an example. But I could not have done that continuing the job that I had. I did have to switch jobs.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gurdeep is asking, is more legislation required? Can legislation help in this? Yeah.
I think legislation can help, absolutely. But I think about in this country, in the UK, where when women come back from work in a year, so, you know, generally most women are off for roughly a year, and they come back, they sometimes struggle to find their way, you know, in the company, because the company says, right, here's your old job or a similar job to your old job. And they do often feel when they come back that their skills are out of sync, or that they haven't been able to keep up with the new technology or the new finance. And I think we could do a much better job, not just on the time off, but maybe in the lead up to when they return, spend some time maybe setting them on courses, or, you know, getting them better educated, or help that transition, or do, okay, let's do 2 days a week, or, you know, just that transition from being home full time to coming back to work full time. There needs to be a much, much better transition, and much more support for women, regardless of how long they've been out.
Absolutely. Yes, I do agree. There should be a program about how to transition. Yes, indeed, because like I said, pregnancy changes women totally. And sometimes it's really even hard to even explain how you feel, you know. So having, you know, left work and then you're having to come back after you've had your children, there must be something that could help you easily to transition yourself from before and to the after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you once again. There's a question from Ngozi, and this is for Hannah. What propelled you to start the All Women's Network?
Well, I'm a connector, and I love connecting with people. I'm a people person, so I love to network. And I started in a very small room, a church room actually, one of the church room in Newham. And I would just gather all these wonderful moms together from my children's school, and they will come in for coffees and teas, and we will have so much conversations. And from there, one day I started with 10 women. The following month, 15 women showed up, and then the number starts to increase. And I felt like so many of them were just sharing so many stories with me, personal stories, business stories, so many different opportunities. And it was actually a need. And that was why I was able to actually, birth this amazing vision, because I knew that the women needed an outlet to be able to share this opportunity, to be able to come together. And just because women, when we all come together, we have so much to say, we have so much to share. And it's so important that there's a platform that they can now do that now, and also turn those great ideas into a profitable business where they can actually, be able to have sustainable businesses as well. So that was really my reason behind it. There was a need for it, and I just went for it, and I just did it.
Good.
Thank you. AG Ken.
Thank you for having me. My question goes to both of you. I just want to know, what can you do better to make men understand the notion that it's women's thing you can't understand? What can we do as men to understand you better? Thank you.
That's the hard one.
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
I think it's just keep talking, right? And it's I think about the world differently than men do. I just do. Women think about the world differently than men do, and that's okay. We bring different things to the table, and different skills, and different values, and different thoughts, and I think it's just about listening openly, and not trying to instantly relate what I say to your version of that, and just listen to my perspective, and I listen to your perspective, and then we talk about it. It's very hard to do. But as I said earlier, also being willing to have the conversation and supporting women when we're not in the room. That's so valuable.
Absolutely. I think it's about having effective communication, being able to communicate effectively, and really understanding what the other person is saying, because sometimes someone can say something and you're thinking, oh, that's what they mean, but actually it's not, it's the opposite. So being clear on exactly what your partner means and gaining enough clarity so that you understand fully, because sometimes if you don't, you might just go and do something that it's absolutely opposite, and that could cause a rift in the household. And communication, effective communication in a household is so important. And I feel like once you are able to nail that, then everything else falls into place. And also a level of understanding each other. That is so important. Knowing what the other person likes, the temperament of the other person, how to deal with one another, how to be patient for one another, how to understand each other also helps as well. And I think if we can actually master all this, then we should be able to, we should be able to get to a place where men understand us even more better, and we understand them as well, because it works both ways.
Yeah.
Thank you both. I think one final question from Caroline, our Vice President. She asks, how can women in the developing world find their voice?
By using their voice, because we all have the voice already. Use it. And if you're scared to use it, but you know somebody else who can use it, make sure you connect with that person and ask them, how do you use your voice? How are you so confident? I want to learn. Can you help me? Can you support me? And then you take steps, you take baby steps. You put plans in place. Okay, what can I do to share my voice today? What problem exists in my local community that I can actually be an instrument to and share my voice to? Who needs help in my local network that I can support and empower? So that's how you start using the voice. And from the moment you take a step and you're taking those actions, it becomes so easy. You take one step and then you're able to take million steps. So it starts with you just aligning yourself with the person that you feel is a role model to you, that is very confident, very outspoken, and they can actually help you through that. And you take your time, you look for what you can actually do. So for example, Clubhouse is an amazing initiative. It's only audio. So if you're scared to be seen, you don't want to be visible, then you can actually use that as a tool and speak, because nobody will see you. But that's a step. You're taking the right step because it's an audio. People can hear you, but they can't see you. So that's one of the steps that you can actually take to help you to start having a voice.
I would add to that just building your network, right? Because it's easier when two people do it together. And you'll support one another. So that network could be somebody who's already experienced and already out there using their voice, but it could also be other people who are also afraid to use their voices, right? And it is about connecting with people who are like-minded, and taking, I'm going to go with slower steps when you're feeling uncomfortable. You know, of course you want to push yourself, but slower steps until you feel comfortable, but still steps. They don't have to be big dramatic, statements or big dramatic steps. It just has to be a step, right? Which could be very small through an action. It could be small through connecting with somebody that has a common view, but moving in the right direction and facing the right direction.
Okay. Imanchu, I think Oma wants to ask a question. I think it's in the chat.
Oh yeah, that last question pretty much was what I was going to say. It was a little bit more succinct, but yeah, it was really just what would you advise women to do in a situation where maybe no one is really listening to you? If you are in a different country where there are certain attitudes or mindsets within the culture, and maybe you feel disconnected from your support network, and people maybe they are belittling you, even if you're trying to voice your concerns. So if there's anything you'd like to add, Melissia or Hannah, to that. But I think your answers from the last question were pretty much on point.
I think sometimes you're in situations that you can't change. And I used the example earlier where I would regularly in my old job, one of my old jobs, walk into a room and I knew that when I walked in the room, I was going to be challenged every time. So instead, I made myself an expert in that. So the challenge was a little easier for me to face. Right. And I built up some walls so I didn't cry when they challenged me when I walk in the room, because it was quite scary. Not as scary as, of course, what other people experience. But I think it's, if you know you're in that situation and there is a blockade around you, think about how you could best work through it, within it, around it, to the side of it. What options do you have available to you, and where can you go with this? Can you become the expert in it? Can you find people in other communities? Can you use the online site? But think about how you don't have to fight a wall by going through it, right? You can go around it, above it, beneath it. There are options. You just have to look to see where those options are available to you.
Thank you once again, both of you, for these wonderful insights. I remember we wanted to do this event last year, and because of coronavirus, we couldn't do it. Melissia, you were a speaker last year as well. But I'm so glad we finally did it today, and I'm so many wonderful insights we got. I just wanted to say that this Rotary Club is made up of 70% women. And I think we're about 80% BAME or something thereabouts members. We are trying to do our part in all of this. There is an escaping domestic violence project that we are actively leading in East London, so the 3 boroughs of Barking and Dagenham, Newham and Tower Hamlets. And then we are also running a couple of skill development projects, one of which is PM Skills for Life, and second one is Introduction to Human-Centered Design, which we actively do for free for whoever wants to attend them. But that's once again, thank you both for joining us today. Can I pass it on to President Bose now? Okay,
thank you so much. Imanchu is actually the founder of this club, and he's been, I would give him that credit that he's actually brought a lot of women on board, and we're part of the executive as well. Lots of the women are on the committee as chairs of the committee, which is quite good. So thank you, Imanchu, for that as well. And I will say a big thank you to Melissia and Anna again. It's been a wonderful evening. I was just looking at the time and saying that, can we still have, because we've got more questions, but I said, no, we can't ask all those questions. But I've really, really enjoyed myself, and it's very insightful. And I'm sure that we've all taken, something with us this evening. Okay, Imanchu, I'm going to hand over to you as the host,
Our next meeting is on 15th of March, which is on awareness and management of diabetes. Our speaker is Neka Agbasi, who's a community matron. So please do join us for that. I would now call our Vice President Caroline to give us the final toast before we finish the meeting.
Final toast. Rotary and peace the world over.
Rotary and peace
the world over.
The world over. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this meeting this evening. And I'm sure that we'll have a very good feedback to Anna and Melissa. Thank you very much.